Hello and welcome. The UK's Home Secretary has been outlining the government's plans to stop migrants arriving in the country from France in small boats. Suella Braverman told the House of Commons that enough is enough as she introduced the illegal migration bill to the House of Commons. It puts a duty on ministers to detain and deport anyone who enters the country illegally, though the government has admitted the bill does push the boundaries of international law. Refugee charities and the main opposition Labour Party have called the new plan unworkable. Well, let's talk to Jeremy Hutton now, who's a researcher at the British-based think tank Migration Watch UK, which campaigns for reduced immigration to the UK. Given what we've just heard from Dominic, given that we are lacking a little bit on the actual detail, do you think this legislation is going to fly?
We are quite concerned that certainly the government are probably going to struggle to get it in place before the peak channel crossing season kicks off around July, August. It seems to be going up against a huge amount of obstacles that hopefully they've factored in. However, we've ultimately been through all this before, where the government have proposed quite a lot, and then ultimately when it comes down to it, failed to achieve those aims. Hopefully this time they will, but we're sceptical of some of the ability to do that.
So is there any part of this legislation that we haven't yet properly seen that you think will work?
Certainly various elements have the potential to work reasonably well. However, it's...
Which
so
elements?
For example, the rule about preventing asylum for people who have been deported from the country, future claims. That seems like it would have a very strong deterrent effect on people making that journey, because it imposes a significant cost on them for being returned outside of the country.
Right, but you need to have some sort of agreement, don't you, with another country to be able to return them there. We don't have any agreements right now. So how will that work?
Yeah, so it seems that the onus on Rwanda is quite extreme. It's unclear if Rwanda has the capability to take the amount of people or even the desire. Returns agreements are extremely hard to handle because, of course, passports being replaced, which are obviously frequently destroyed by people entering the country illegally, presents another hurdle. So, yes, certainly that's another element that the government are going to struggle to overcome.
So do you think this goes in any way towards solving the actual problem of smuggling gangs, which this all basically boils down to?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, ultimately, this is about addressing the demand for those traffickers. If you reduce the amount of people who are going to make these journeys all the way from, the Middle East or from Africa or even various parts of Europe, then the smuggling gangs will have less customers. It's simple supply and demand, really.
But, I mean, we've already tried with legislation last year to do similar things, and it hasn't had any impact on demand. In fact, if anything, demand has gone up.
Yes, indeed. And that's why I think there's certainly a lot of goodwill going towards the government that they are going to get it right this time, because in the past, of course, they've proposed all these sort of measures that should have fixed it, and yet we're here again and the numbers are only ever going up. I suppose we're hoping that they know more than we do, and that this legislation will be a lot more successful than the critics are currently saying it will be.
It doesn't sound like you have a lot of faith in what the government is planning.
Well, we've been here before, at the end of the day. I mean, it certainly talks the talk. It just comes down to whether it walks the walk. If it does what it says, if it can do what it says, then, brilliant. I think that we could be laying foundations for a robust border strategy for quite a long time. However, as you and the previous guest made quite clear, there are significant hurdles and obstacles to overcome to achieve that.
Are you worried about the possibility that legally this may not work? Yeah,
I mean, we're certainly worried that it's not going to happen anywhere near as quickly as the government wants it to. It's very hard to imagine that this will be in place before summer. I mean, maybe they could potentially get it in place before next summer. However, even then, if it comes down to compatibility with the European Convention on Human Rights, then that raises the question of whether we do need to talk about departing that, which I think is not an easy thing to do, and it shouldn't be lightly considered. However, that is what some people are suggesting as the ultimate direction that we would need to take.
OK, Jeremy Hutton, thank you very much.
Yeah.